Actually recording?
Okay, cool. Let's go. And then there's the sub bump. My name's Eric Welander, and welcome to Windy Tech, a channel all about smart home tech in the Apple ecosystem. Today, we're going to talk about 10 ways to keep your smart home and HomeKit setup from getting messy. So just as a lot of productivity experts always say, well, you should do multiple reviews of your to-do lists and email, because that's of course how all productivity experts sound. I think it's also important to do a regular review of your HomeKit setup and your smart home setup, whether that's for just simply cleaning up existing accessory setups to get more out of what you already have, or thinking about things in advance of maybe making an additional accessory purchase. So let's get started. But before we do that, there's one thing that you really shouldn't worry about when you're cleaning up HomeKit, and unfortunately, that's the wallpaper behind each room and your home. Those don't seem to sync between either your devices or other people who are a member of your home, so don't bother wasting your time changing those or getting those set up to look nice. So number one, if we go to the settings panel in HomeKit, so that little home icon at the top left-hand corner of the screen, then there's an option to add or remove people from your home. This could be people who physically live with you in the same space, obviously, but it also might be people who you trust with a key to your place. You can also turn off the ability for these people to be able to edit the accessories, say like adding or removing scenes or changing settings about your home. You might not want them doing that. The other cool thing is that you can remove them from having remote access so that they can only really access your accessories when they're nearby your home. So both great features. Unfortunately, you can't limit them to only certain rooms or accessories or hide certain accessories from them. If they'll see everything you have in your smart home. So consider it carefully, but I think it could be a real convenience. And just as your friends and family can be members of multiple HomeKit homes, including yours, you can be members of theirs. So think about if there may be some friends or family who you might want to ask. So number two, in that same panel, there's a way to add notes about your home. And I think this can be a great place to consider, are there specific codes, maybe like a code to your garage, or maybe even a code to a safe or something that you want to put there in the notes. As well as say a location of a first aid kit or other sort of, maybe where the fire extinguishers are. Basic emergency things that, hopefully people have a little bit of time, they can reference that and know, okay, I don't have to remember, all the details of where every fire extinguisher and first aid kit is in the house, but, I can quickly go to the home app if they're not you, they don't live there regularly, and they can see that if they need it in case of an emergency. So the last thing in that panel, number three, is name your home something relevant. Before I started a YouTube channel, I would name my home after the street that it's on. I think this is the most logical thing. Of course, if I did that, I'd probably be shooting some demo thing, and then the name of my street would get out there, and then it would sort of give away my address, which I don't want to do. You guys are great, but I don't need you all over here at my house. But I think it can be really nice to just give your home something other than just my HomeKit home or my home. That can get confusing, especially if you start to add other people to it where it's not their only home. Some way to uniquely show this is this particular home and not some other place. So then moving out of that panel, number four, go over to the Rooms tab and start to page through your rooms and think about what should be in what rooms, what accessory should go where. So you might want this to match physical boundaries, but you might not. For example, we have kind of an open plan on our first floor, but I've still divided each area up into separate rooms. Another example for me was I used to have our master closet in a separate HomeKit room from our master bedroom, but it just seemed to make more sense to have them all in one. We tend to like to control all of those accessories basically at the same time. So keeping those in one room made a lot more sense. So think about how you want to divide up rooms, and it can make it really easy to sort of get to all the accessories at once in a certain area. Number 5 that plays right into number 4 is what zones do you want to have? So you might have been using rooms more like zones, and what you could probably do is section off more things into different rooms, but then still keep them all grouped together in zones. I have multiple zones in my house, one for downstairs, upstairs, and outside. And rooms can be members of multiple zones, of course. So think about what zones make sense for you. Maybe it's like mine, or maybe if you live in a single floor apartment, maybe it's the bedrooms and living area are your 2 different zones. But the big convenience is that you can simply ask Siri to turn on all the lights in that zone. So that brings me to the next question, which is what should HomeKit consider a light? So depending on the smart home accessories you're adding, they might be able to be considered a light or a smart plug. This is especially true of smart plugs if you're adding those to different lamps or other pieces of electronics in your home. But the problem is if they're categorized as a light, Siri will then turn them on when you ask Siri to turn on the lights in a particular room. So for example, in my YouTube setup here, this is a little specific to me, but I have these different spotlights and lights set up specifically for video, and I don't want those turned on when I come in here to do regular work and I just ask Siri to turn on the lights in my office. So I changed all those to be smart outlets, and that way I have specific HomeKit scenes to trigger all these lights to come on for a video, but they're not going to come on with the rest of the office lights when I don't want them to. So number 7, which accessories should be grouped? So HomeKit allows you to take multiple accessories of the same type and group them together. And then you can basically treat them as one accessory. This can be really helpful if you have more than one smart bulb in the same light fixture or lamp. This way you can then group those together and treat that all as one unit in HomeKit and just turn on all the lights on that lamp and then turn them all off. I did this for the 2 lights that are inside our living room fan, the 2 Philips Hue bulbs there. And I also just recently did this with the 2 lights outside my garage because they're on the same circuit and I always want them both on or off. So number 8, home status and notifications. Various accessories like smart locks and smart garage door openers have the ability to notify you when their status changed, when there's a door unlocked or a door is opened or a garage door is opened, and you might want to turn those on or off on certain devices. You can do that in the HomeKit settings, and that's device specific, which can be good and bad, but I like it for, say, I have my garage door notifications delivered quietly on my iPad, but then I have my notifications for garage door completely off on my phone and watch. Think about those notifications, and also think about maybe you need to help other people who live with you figuring out the same thing of setting up their notifications for HomeKit stuff in a way that makes sense for them. The other thing related to this is the status of your home. So at the top of the main HomeKit page, they give you like 3 lines about the general status of what's going on in your home. And you can include some of these accessories in there so that way, maybe you want to know if the garage door is open, or maybe you don't care if, let's say a particular door you have a smart lock on is open or not. So keep that in mind as well, although probably notifications are the more pertinent thing here, but just HomeKit kind of groups them together. The next thing on that main screen is all of your quote favorite scenes and accessories. It seems like just about every accessory you add to HomeKit, when you add it, it wants to be one of your favorites. And maybe it is when you first buy it and it's all exciting and new, but I think it's important to always be reviewing that page, and does it make sense to have all of these accessories be quote unquote favorites. I think it's best to have those be accessories that pretty much anybody who lives in your home is going to want to be able to get to quickly and easily. The other thing to keep in mind is that it might be better to control certain groups of accessories with a scene that's a favorite scene, well, those accessories are not favorites. So, just think about what do you want to be controlling most frequently as an entire scene versus individual accessories. Go all Marie Kondo on this, and does this accessory spark joy in your life? I don't know. That's for you to decide, but clean up that favorites page. So the last one is automation. Now, automation is obviously something you probably think a lot about with smart home setups because it's a huge benefit of the whole thing. But oftentimes there can be some automations that fall through the cracks and you don't always think about right away. When you look at everything you have in your home in the big picture, you can see some ways to automate things that you hadn't thought of previously. Two that I recently thought of in this was I had turned all my basement lights to be Lutron cassetta switches. So what I've done now is when I turn on the light with the stairs down to my basement, the light at the bottom, the set of lights at the bottom of the stairs in my basement turns on as well. So that way when you get down here, the lights are already on in part of the basement so you can see your way around. And that's done with a simple accessory automation where you can automate based on if one accessory changes state, like turns on or off or is locked or unlocked or whatever, then you can have a bunch of other accessories also change state. It doesn't happen instantly, but it happens in like a second or two after one changes. So the other piece of automation that is always really great to consider is the leave home and arrive home automation. Sometimes I'll film these YouTube videos early in the morning before I go to work. And then I want to quickly leave here and catch my commuter train into the office. And for those of you who probably take commuter trains as well, you know that hitting that right time, to get on the train, seconds matter in order to catch the train that you want. So not having to think about turning off these lights in my office is great. One of the most basic automations as well that you might want to reconsider in certain parts of your home is what lights turn on automatically at sunset or turn off automatically at sunrise. This can be especially helpful for outdoor lights, but maybe even some indoor ones that you just want to automatically come on as the sun sets and then maybe turn off at a time when you're usually heading to bed. Let me know down in the comments below if you have other things that you always keep an eye on or clean up with your HomeKit setup. I'd love to hear about those ideas, and I'm sure other people watching this video would love to as well. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to this channel if you aren't already. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.